all of you lovers of old film out there, I see that you liked my video about all the nominees for Best Dance Direction at the Oscars. So I think I should make another video to go along with that. That's enough of my Katharine Hepburn impression. If you like old musicals, check out this book, The Hollywood Musical by Clive Hirschhorn. This has descriptions of 1,344 Hollywood musicals. Basically all of the musicals that were ever made in Hollywood from 1927 all the way to modern day. And by modern day, I mean 1980. Why do people wear these? You can't grip anything. The first musical in this book is The Jazz Singer from 1927, and the last movie in this book is The Jazz Singer from 1980 with Neil Diamond. You can turn to a random page and see the most obscure movie that you've ever seen. Let's open up to a random page and see what movie we fall on. Bring on the Girls. Filmed to Technicolor was the one about the millionaire who's bugged by the thought that women find his money more attractive than they do him, so he decides to join the Navy on the assumption that girls never think of sailors as being wealthy, blah 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 blah. So let's try to find either clips of it or reviews of it or any way to actually watch the movie. Okay, so let's look up Bring on the Girls. It pulls up the cast. It's got an IMDb page, 6 out of 10 with 142 ratings. On Letterboxd, it's got 38 views.
How would you like to taste my picture? How would you like a souvenir? You can put it in the locket that you carry in your pocket when I'm not near.
Let's try again. The Inspector General might have been termed suggested by rather than based on Goggles classic, Danny Kaye, blah 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 blah. Let's try and find clips of this movie. Now let's look up The Inspector General. Okay, it's got Wikipedia and IMDb. It's got 3,000 ratings. On Letterboxd, it's got 1,600. Oh look, the whole thing's on YouTube.
When I was 6, I had a... At 7, I developed. When I was 8, I got a... By the time I was 9... Doctor, why am I always so tired?
And one more. Let's go to the beginning. In Person. With Ginger Rogers, took time off from her full-scale musicals with Fred Astaire to appear in a minor effort called In Person, which she received top billing. In 1935, Rogers without Astaire was like Amos without Andy. Yeah, don't look up who those people are. Blah 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 blah. Let's try and find clips of this movie. In Person from 1935. On IMDb, it's got 497 ratings, 251 on Letterboxd, and there's a bunch of clips of it, and you can find it on DVD.
Yes, but I can't see enough of your face through that veil to recognize you.
You're not missing much.
Ouch.
What?
Nothing.
You said ouch.
Yeah, but I didn't mean it.
Oh, yes, you did. So I'm an ouch face, am I?
Well, maybe it's only something temporary, like an accident or the mumps.
Well, you don't have to look at it.
Oh, thanks. I mean, now, you might be generous and forget that
I'll never forget that you called me an ouch face. It wasn't very gentlemanly.
Well, how was I to know you had a face like that? I mean,
Some of these movies don't even have a DVD release. Some of them don't even have a VHS release. They're probably just sitting in a vault somewhere and no one ever bothered to make a digital copy of it. Or they could just be lost. And for all of these descriptions, it's very likely that Clive Hirschhorn researched a bunch of reviews that other people have made for all of these movies, because one person watching over 1,000 movies for one book will take a super long time, even if he was able to find a way to watch Hearts Divided in 1980. Hearts Divided. It pulls up the cast. On IMDb, it's got 841 views, 124 on Letterboxd. You can see the entire thing on OK.ru.
The welcoming committee has just informed me that Jerome Bonaparte is to occupy my box during the races.
Oh, that Frenchman.
That Frenchman, the brother of Napoleon, is coming to honor Baltimore with a visit, and you dare call him that Frenchman?
What, do you want me to call him, a Fiji Islander?
No, but after all, he is Napoleon's brother.
Well, if that doesn't make him a Frenchman, the family is too complicated to be respectable.
I also made a Letterboxd list of every one of these movies because I have way too much time on my hands. There are a couple of movies in this book that aren't on Letterboxd for some reason, so they're not included. Here they are. And if you go on this and you rank them from highest rated to lowest rated, the highest is obviously Singin' in the Rain.
The title's not right. We need a musical title. Cosmo?
Hey, the dueling mammy. No.
And the lowest is an Elvis movie called Harem Scarum From the looks of it, it takes place in the Middle East and has a bunch of racist stuff in it.
You'll feel like a chic. Would you mind telling me where I am?
In the Garden of Paradise, noble master.
With dancing girls at your command.
The most popular one is Rocky Horror Picture Show.
It's just a jump to the left.
And the least popular movie, ranked by whatever Letterboxd uses to rank popularity, is called Sing While You're Able, which Clive misspells as Swing While You're Able in this book. Sing While You're Able. This has got 19 ratings, 3 on Letterboxd. And for clips, no, that's Ready, Willy, and Able, and this is the only clip that I can find for this movie. And also, if you look up higher, there's this movie called Weekend Pass, all about a runaway socialite who has to join the WACS. Adventures he has with shipyard worker on a weekend's leave. Mere tendril of a plot, needed a stronger cast than the one working for director Gene Yarbrough to keep it buoyant. Sounds like a banger. This movie literally has 0 ratings on IMDb or Letterboxd. Basically nobody alive has ever seen it. See, look, 0 rating on IMDb or on Letterboxd. And I also did some more maths. I looked on Wikipedia of list of musical films by date, and I counted up, there are 254 Hollywood musicals released after 1980. Everything from the Disney Renaissance movies, to the Disney remakes, to La La Land and The Greatest Showman, to Encanto and Disenchanted and Lyle Lyle Crocodile. In those, I only included movies that were made by a studio that's based in Los Angeles. So 254 plus the 1,344 musicals that are in this book, that makes 1,558 Hollywood musicals ever made. So 1,598 divided by 2 is 799, so that's the halfway point. And in that list, the 799th movie is one called Billy Rose's Diamond Horseshoe from 1945. Diamond Horseshoe. It's got 292 on the IM and 64 on LB, and the whole thing is on YouTube. Betty Grable starred as a showgirl with a mink coat complex, and her co-star was up-and-coming Dick Haynes playing a young doctor with grease paint in his veins. So if you line up every musical ever made, the halfway point was released in 1945. So that means there are more musicals released in the years from 1927 to 1945 than there is between 1946 and today, 2022. There are more musicals released in the first 18 years of Hollywood than there is in the next 77 years. And also, because of the immense success of The Jazz Singer, basically everyone in Hollywood was making musicals. So here's all the musicals released in 1929 and 1930. Still going. Still going. Here's 1930. Still going. Still going. And here's 1931. So there are 53 musicals released in the year 1929 and 77 musicals released in the year 1930. That makes 130 musicals released in those 2 years. On the list that I made, 254 minus 130 is 124, and the 124th movie on this list is Chicago.
And then he ran into my knife. He ran into my knife 10 times.
So that means that there are about the same amount of musicals released in 1929 and 1930 than there is in the last 20 years. Yeah, and something else that's weird, this front cover is from a movie called The Belle of New York with Fred Astaire and Vera Ellen. Belle of New York is like one of the least popular Fred Astaire musicals, so why he chose this picture as the cover and not any other musical, I'll never know. And something else that we could do, we can look up my favorite musicals and see what Clive has to say about it. Wizard of Oz. Enchanting entertainment that really lived up to the blurb for children of all ages. Yeah, you got that right. Let's look up Ernest Lubitsch's The Merry Widow. Right here. The result was one of the great screen musicals of all time.
Well, you wouldn't recognize him now. He's a changed man. Did you hear the story about the warden's daughter?
No.
Well, last night, the warden's daughter brought his supper personally into his cell.
And what happened?
Nothing. I tell you, he's a changed man.
And something else I noticed about this is that here is the VHS of The Merry Widow. On the back, they actually quoted this book, one of the great screen musicals of all time, Clive Hirschhorn, A Hollywood Musical. And here it is. Let's see what he says about Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Roald Dahl's Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, he misspelled Willy. It should have been ideal family entertainment, and had been made by the Walt Disney Studios, it probably would have been. It was as hard to swallow as a toffee. Lacking visual flair, creative imagination, and a hummable song or two, it simply failed to come to life. That's just a straight-up lie.
Good day, sir!
And if you like straight-up movie encyclopedias, Clive Hirschhorn made other books. Here's the Warner Brothers Story, which is every Warner Brothers movie up until 1978. This one has the early years of Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers, they started in 1918, so they have a whole bunch of silent movies. Most of them are lost, and the other ones are probably just sitting in a vault somewhere, being never made into a digital copy. Well, except for this one, Three Women. I have that on Blu-ray. Why they decided to release Three Women and not any of his other silent movies, I'll never know. Can't wait for the Warner Archive Collection Blu-ray of Jailbreak, with Dick Purcell doing a passable imitation of James Cagney, another of the studio's prison melodramas, but this time one without a message. Jailbreak, 119 views here and 49 here. And he also made the Universal Story, every Universal movie up until 1982. 2,641. Yeah, Universal got started a lot earlier. In 1913, the first movie that they made was called Traffic in Souls from 1913. Traffic in Souls, 692 on IMDb and 626 on Letterboxd. I guess Universal kept this film safe because the whole thing is on YouTube. Yeah, look at all of these movies. I guarantee you have never seen any of these movies. Look up Go Straight. Go Straight on IMDb, no reviews, and on Letterboxd, 1 review. How many people have seen Colorado? Colorado, no ratings on IMDb, 1 view on Letterboxd. Or High Heels. High Heels, no ratings, 1 view. Or Short Skirts. Short Skirts, no ratings, 1 view. And this guy, D Films, that's German for the film, I noticed that he has viewed a whole bunch of old silent movies where he's the only viewer. I seriously doubt that he's taken the time to see all of these silent movies. He probably just viewed them just cause, so he doesn't count. So nobody alive has seen these 4 silent movies. Probably. And The All-American from 1953. The All-American. It's got 288 ratings and the whole thing is on YouTube.
What do you think, Dutch? He runs real good. But if you ever tried that in the ball game, you might kill it.
And the last one that he made, The Columbia Story. This one is a re-release because it has all the Columbia movies up until 1998. Look at all of these movies that nobody alive has ever seen. Let's watch this movie. Oh look, Oliver, Best Picture winner. I've actually seen this. It's okay.
Who cares? Whatever we got, we share.
Try again. The Return of October, a fantasy that recalled Here Comes Mr. Jordan and My Brother Talks to Horses, managed to keep whimsy at bay while telling the decidedly whimsical story of a young woman whose uncle is reincarnated as a thoroughbred horse. It's got 210 ratings, and you can watch it on Apple TV. Let's point to a random silent movie and see if anybody has seen it. And that one. The Beautiful Sinner, gangster melodrama. A wealthy young criminologist and a Secret Service man set out to apprehend a gang of waterfront thieves. Sounds great. The Beautiful Sinner. It's got a Wikipedia page, and on IMDb it has no ratings. Let's look up clips. Skyscraper, that's not it. So yeah, there are no clips of this movie. Director W.S. Van Dyke, he's directed The Thin Man and some other okay movies.
The dog's well trained. He'll behave himself.
It might bite somebody.
No, he's all right. Look, lie down. Lie down. Stand up.
I also have this book, Ring Bells Sing Songs, Broadway Musicals of the 1930s. This has descriptions of a whole bunch of Broadway musicals that were shown in the 1930s. This one is more of like a history book because look at all this text. It's more of like just history of Broadway. Obviously, I'm not rich. I've never been to Broadway. The only shows that I've actually seen performed live are Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Chicago, and I've also seen A Christmas Carol. So the only ones in here that I recognize are the ones that were turned into movies, like Porgy and Bess, Ziegfeld Follies, the ones from George M. Cohan, The Gay Divorce. When it turned into a movie, it was called The Gay Divorcee because I guess the people in Hollywood, they thought the title Gay Divorce was like too like shocking because it implied that a divorce could be gay, like gay happy, so they changed it to divorcee for some reason. So all of these are descriptions. Let's open to one and see if I've heard of it. Earl Carroll Vanities, I've heard about that in the Hollywood musical book. Flying Colors, no. Saluta, Life Begins at 8:40, never heard of that. Obviously, nobody was filming Broadway musicals in the 1930s, so all of these performances are just lost to time. So these are the movie encyclopedias made by Clive Hirschhorn. You can find them for a decent price on eBay and Amazon. These two I found at Savers, and these two I got on eBay. So if you're a real film aficionado and you like looking at information about movies that nobody has seen in over 100 years, find yourself one of these books. It's the Black Cat. Meow.